Hi, my name is John Reifschneider. I'm a professor at Duke University's Pratt School of Engineering and the creator of the Classwise platform. Classwise is an AI-powered digital learning platform that enables instructors to easily create interactive, engaging courses that provide personalized support for each learner. We believe that online and hybrid courses don't have to be the passive, one-size-fits-all learning experience that they typically are. With Classwise, educators can make the learning experience personalized and engaging regardless of the size of the class. We do this through an AI-based virtual tutor named EdBot, who acts as a personal learning coach for each student. EdBot engages in dialogue with the students as they progress through the course content, evaluating their understanding, helping them with any learning challenges, and guiding them towards mastery of the material. In this demo video, I'll walk you through the basics of the Classwise platform. So let's dive in. Up on the screen, I've got a brand new course I've just created. It's completely blank, and we're going to start to build this course out. So let's start by adding a module to our course. This particular course is an Introduction to Machine Learning course, so add a computer vision module. And now we can start to populate that module with content. So we can add lecture videos, readings, external videos, code demos, quizzes, etc. So let's first add a lecture video to the module. I'm going to grab the video link so the videos can be hosted anywhere you want, YouTube, Vimeo, Warpwire, etc. Add a topic for this particular lecture, and I'm going to upload my lecture slides here. I can set a due date for my students. And I'm going to click this to require the students to do a chat with EdBot after consuming this lecture. And when they do the chat with EdBot, EdBot is going to ask them a series of questions to assess their understanding of what they learned in the lecture. Okay, so now I can build out that chat with EdBot. I can add a remediation if I'd like to for students that struggle in that chat. And I can develop a series of questions to structure that chat. So I can manually create these, or I can have Classwise create these automatically for me from my lecture. So it's automatically generate a couple of questions on that lecture. Let's do one more. And you can see that it's generating both a question and a model answer, which I can then edit. And the reason for this is because the system, EdBot, compares the student's answer during the chat to the model answer and then uses that to provide some feedback back to the student. Okay, so let's save that, and that's now published in our course feed under the computer vision module. And let's just add one more. Let's add a reading. So let's add an academic paper about a model called generative adversarial network. Let's grab the paper here, set the due date, and then we'll require a chat for this one as well. Okay. So now let's structure the chat around that academic paper that the students should have read. Let's generate a couple of questions about that paper. Great. So we've got a couple of questions here now to structure the chat. That's good enough for now. So let's go ahead and close that. And now we can see we've got a couple of items in our feed, and we continue to build out our module. Okay. So now let's add one more thing, which is let's add a quiz to our module. Okay, so I can add quizzes either within a module or outside a module. If I want the quiz to cover more than one module, I can select graded or ungraded here, set a due date for that quiz, and now I can select what I want to include on that quiz. So because it's in a module, the computer vision module, I can select which of the items in that module I want the quiz to cover. Let's have it cover both. Okay, I can add some instructions if I'd like, and now I can build out that quiz. So I can choose to manually add quiz questions myself, or I can auto-generate questions. So let's auto-generate a couple of questions. Let's do a couple on convolutional neural networks. Okay, and this is now going to generate questions based on the contents of the lecture that we uploaded on convolutional neural networks. So these questions are based entirely on the course materials. Let's do one more. Let's add one on GANs. Okay, let's add one more on GANs. Okay. And now let's save that quiz. We can edit these questions or answers if we'd like to, and so now we've got a quiz here. Great. So now we started to build out our course. I'm going to flip over to the student side and show you the experience from the student perspective. Okay, so now we're logged in here on the student side, and we can see here a number of things. I've got what we call the course feed here. These are my to-do items. If I've completed items, they'll show up here on my completed items feed. I've got some messages from EdBot up here and over here, and I've got some information on the course. And these over here would be messages from the instructor if the instructor had sent out any announcements or messages to me yet. So now let's dive in and let's take a look at the student experience with one of these items. So let's go into a lecture that we published here on convolutional neural networks. I can see here I've got the lecture video, and as I'm watching the video, I've got EdBot over here in a sidebar. If I run into any questions, things I don't understand in the video, I can go ahead and ask EdBot a question about them. So let's just ask a question here. And EdBot is now going to attempt to formulate a response to that question based on the material from the course, supplemented with its own knowledge here. So you can see here I've got a nice response from EdBot explaining how to calculate the size of the output from a convolution operation. Okay, and after I've watched that video, I can go up here and hit Mark Done. It's going to first ask me to self-evaluate my understanding of the contents of that lecture, so I'll go ahead and do that. And now, because we have required the students to go through a chat with EdBot, it's going to enter the chat. So EdBot's going to ask me the questions that we had added here, and I'm going to go ahead and put some responses. Do a partial response there, and EdBot's going to look at my partial response and is going to give me some feedback on that as he has done here. Great, and so let's move on and let's go to the next question. Let's say we don't know the answer to this. Let's take a look at what happens here. And EdBot's going to explain to me the how to correctly answer this question. Okay. So that is the experience with a lecture, and we can see that our lecture is now shown up on our completed items feed and has moved off our to-do feed. We can likewise go ahead and look at readings, which will show up in the platform along with the EdBot sidebar, and our quiz items as well. So let's quickly look at the experience taking a quiz here. Okay, so why don't we go through this real quick, and we'll take a look at how the quiz works. Let's get one wrong here. Okay, so we submitted our quiz, and now it's going to automatically grade our quiz here. We can see we got 2 out of 3 right. And we have some comments from EdBot on here. So in particular, if we've made a mistake here, as we did on question 2, EdBot is going to generate some feedback explaining what the mistake was and how to think about the correct answer. And it's also going to link back to a resource for where that question came from. In this case, that question came from the paper that we had uploaded, Generative Adversarial Networks. Great. So that is the experience watching lectures, reading papers, articles, etc., taking quizzes within the platform. As you can see here, we've got a few tips up here as well from EdBot, some suggestions based on our pattern of performance on these particular topics in this class. And you can see here that EdBot has flagged that we might need some extra help with some of these topics, convolutional neural networks, for example, because we struggled a bit with that chat that we did after watching that lecture. So EdBot offers the option to study together, and if we'd like to study this together with EdBot, we can go ahead and do so, and we can do a couple of things. We can ask EdBot to summarize some of the key things that we've learned together about convolutional neural networks, and as you can see, EdBot gives us a nice summary of the lecture where we covered convolutional neural networks here. And then we can also ask EdBot to quiz us and ask us a few questions and then provide feedback on the responses to do some active learning about convolutional neural networks. So as you can see here, EdBot on the fly is generating questions about convolutional neural networks. And we can answer those questions, and EdBot will then provide us some feedback. And this is a great way for students to test their understanding, do some active learning, some recall practice, and get some real-time feedback from EdBot on the responses. Okay, and we can continue this, and we can have EdBot continue to quiz us and ask us some additional questions. Great. So that covers the primary aspects of the platform. We covered both the instructor side of how to build out a class and how to take advantage of some of those auto-generation capabilities, how to use the EdBot chat. We can also create EdBot study sessions, which we just saw an example of from the student side, where the student initiated it. The instructor can initiate those sessions and place a session into a particular student's feed and require that student to go through an EdBot chat and study a particular topic. For example, if they see a student struggling with a certain topic. And the final thing we'll take a look at here is some of the analytics that are built into the platform. So let's log back into the instructor side. And we've got a few options. So we've got a standard grade book. We have a progress dashboard where we can track progress and look and see how each of our students is progressing through each of the items in the course so far. And then we also have what we call the mastery dashboard. So this is a view now by topic. So we can see here the primary topics that have been covered so far in this course. We can see each of our students. In this case, we've just got a single student in this demo class, but we'd be able to see the student status on each of those topics. In this case, our student has been red flagged on this topic, and this is done by an algorithm which evaluates the student's performance across all of the activities related to that topic. So all of the EdBot chats, quiz questions, assignments, etc. And if we want to see why this particular student has been red flagged, we can click in. We can see the student's self-rating on the lecture about that topic. We can see their scores on their knowledge check chats. In this case, there were 2 questions we answered in the knowledge check. One of the 2 we got incorrect. And we can see we've got some quiz questions which we had After an analysis of all those activities, the system has decided that this student has a potential learning gap with convolutional neural networks and has been red flagged there. And this allows us to get a quick view of any topics that maybe the entire class is struggling with, or to dive in on an individual student and look and see where an individual student might be struggling with particular topics, so that we can provide some remediation. So that wraps up our demo for today. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoy using Classwise. And if you have any questions, there's some great tutorial videos available on our website that walk through in more detail a number of the things that we just quickly walked through. Thank you.